Today on Overwatch This, a roundup of the latest news, patch 1.10, and which heroes next need to be reworked. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 26 of Overwatch This. It is Joel and Ben.
Hello.
And we're going to kick off with a little news update. So the first thing on our show notes today, Ben, is not a lot of news. So thanks for joining us and we'll see you next week. Cheers. No, but there is some news. There's some competitive stuff. There's some character news. There's some patch news. So let's give everyone a little top-down rundown of what's been happening in the world.
Yes, there's nothing huge going on, is kind of the message. There's lots of little bits going on. Apex Season 2 is actually nearly finished. It's got to the final stage. This is the big Korean tournament, which is kind of basically seen as the current, if you win this tournament, you are the best team in the world.
Who's winning?
There is Lunatic High and one of the team whose name completely escapes me, who are in the grand finals.
Very well-informed broadcast.
It is. It's extremely well-informed. They've actually played before. They were in the same group in the last group stage. So I'll be interested to see who wins that. I think probably Lunatic High are the favourites. They're certainly
Because you can't remember the name of the other team.
And that's the main reason. That's why I can remember that. There's also, the balance changes are now in place. Orisa is also now in competitive mode. How all that shakes out, we don't know now, but hopefully we'll know next week.
Is she seeing a lot of play?
A little bit of play, yes. But there hasn't been any pro games with her yet. Okay. So obviously people are just trying her in competitive, and everyone's still quite bad and not very effective with her, which is the opposite of what you're meant to do in competitive mode.
That's what I hear.
And then patch 1.10 is still on the PTR.
Yeah.
It had a couple of changes since last week. They buffed Lucio's damage, they nerfed his self-healing, and they nerfed his speed a little bit, but not loads. So
we talked a lot about the Lucio stuff.
Yeah.
Either last week or the week before.
It was last week, I think.
Last week, time's lost all meaning. And we think the patch will come out 2 weeks, maybe?
Yeah, so either 2 weeks or next week. It kind of depends how much playing they need to do with the Lucio stuff. I think they do want to get that in, because it is kind of super cool, and watching him move around the map that fast is really interesting. And they'll want to get some super proper competitive play with him. I expect he will need to be nerfed a little further, but yeah, I would expect it either next week or the week after, and possibly with some sort of skin stuff for April Fools.
Right, so you mentioned this, and I thought you were joking, but now I'm not really sure what's going on.
Joe.
I don't know if there are going to be skins, or there's going to be a fake skin tease, or I don't know what's happening then.
So with the April Fools stuff, there will always be, from Blizzard, they always do these things on the 1st of April where there'll be something to do with each of their games. There will almost certainly be a video for Overwatch that's something along the lines of, oh, Jeff Kaplan is the new hero, or I'm the new hero.
I think it should be you.
I mean, I think it should
Please
be me.
vote in the comments for Ben as the next hero.
Let Blizzard know that, look, I've got skills, I've got an ultimate,
but you're saying there might actually be some skins.
But yeah, I also
even
think
though
that
we've had a lot of skins.
Yeah, I think it would fit into the theme of Overwatch to have April Fool's skins. It'd be quite fun, quite funny. It's also been a little bit of time since the last skin drop, but at this point I'm wondering if I've kind of countered myself, where originally I thought there wasn't going to be that many skin drops, and then they start doing a bit faster.
They do seem to ramp them up a bit.
Yeah. So it would also just be something to accompany this patch, which is, it doesn't have anything huge in it except for the Lucio changes.
I think they should have skins that last for exactly 1 day and then self-destruct.
And then you can't get them after that.
Fools.
That's good. Yeah, that is good.
Yeah. So, as there's a slight dearth of kind of big news, as we said earlier, we decided to have a bit of a discussion about hero reworks in general and who we, or more specifically, mostly you, as the resident expert, think are sort of next in line, or perhaps should be next in line for a more holistic rework than slight balance tweaks here and there. So we've come up with a few options, so hit it.
Okay, so the question here is who is next, and how we define that is based on what they've done before. So we've seen Symmetra, Bastion, and now Lucio getting this level of change. Those are the kind of changes we're talking about, where they're significantly reworking individual abilities or reworking the kit as a whole. The reasons they've done that are Symmetra and Bastion were kind of useless, and also Symmetra was really specifically good in one situation that wasn't fun to play against. And then Bastion was just very good against low-tier players, very bad against high-tier players. Lucio was the only, and is still only, the S-tier character. He's just way too good at what he does, and also not particularly interesting to play even. So why we might do this kind of breaks into 3 categories, and I've kind of picked one from each. So the first is Reinhardt, and I think this is the most obvious one. I actually mentioned it a week back or 2 weeks back, saying that he would be next on my list after Lucio.
Right.
He's super ubiquitous. He's used in basically all sorts of different team comps. He's not as overused as he used to be, but he's also incredibly popular in kind of the medium tier because he's so easy to use. Like, you hold right click, you've got the big shield, and your team's invulnerable.
Yeah, it's a good start.
He does actually have some gameplay to him, though. It's not like the Symmetra thing where she literally didn't do anything except put her teleporter down, and then it didn't really matter after that.
Right.
But he's definitely, I would say, arguably the dullest character in the game currently where, like I said, you can just hold right-click. For example, his charge just isn't very good. It's cool to use, and it feels nice, and it's great to hit people, but you are charging into an enemy team, and if they're coordinated, you're just going to die, and your team's lost their tank.
So do you think it's that he needs tweaks to enable him to withstand higher level play, or just overall all the abilities need some level of rebalancing?
I think specifically maybe charge needs a significant change just to make it more interesting. See, the problem with him is he is good at high level play. It's just not in a very interesting way.
Right, okay. Is that not possibly the nature of the kind of character that he is, in which you play that character in a certain way and variety is kind of left behind?
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of it comes down to the fact that he's got this shield, and a lot of his character power is in that shield. If you consider there is a pool that you're allowed to fill up when you are a character, a lot of that is his shield, and therefore his other abilities can't be that strong.
Yeah.
He's melee range, so that's a really huge disadvantage to kind of counter that. But it does mean that he can't have a big AoE ability on normal or whatever. How they can fix that, I don't really know. But I would definitely say at the moment he's the most kind of A, ubiquitous, and B, boring to play character that is most used.
Okay. So the other one was Widowmaker, who again is partly, you're saying is partly abilities, but partly feel, and that you think at the moment isn't kind of nailing the sniper fantasy feel in a game like this, right?
Yeah, I think so. So, you can play her and you can get headshots and you can kill people. Part of the problem is how much HP certain characters have. You can never one-shot a Roadhog. Maybe that's fine, but for example, even in TF2, the sniper could one-shot basically every character unless there was some special kind of things going on. A headshot would kill a heavy, unless he was like super, super overhealed, and then you could just kill his healer first and then kill him.
Right.
Roadhog, for example, if you headshot him, he can just press his heal button, and then you still need to headshot him like 2 or 3 more times. Yeah, and it
kind of, as you say, it kind of undermines the feeling of accomplishment of being, way across the map, hitting that headshot, and then going, I haven't actually done anything. Yeah, sort of ruins it.
On top of that, she's super hard countered by, again, characters like Reinhardt or any character that can put down a shield. Really, she isn't very good at getting through them, and also she, if she can't hit people, she doesn't do anything. So part of the problem is that her Widow Mine is basically useless. One of her abilities is just, doesn't do anything. You can use it to find out where people are, but the rest of her kit is focused around that.
Sure.
Like her ultimate, sees through walls.
Yeah.
And she, it doesn't do very much damage. It's never going to be the deciding factor in a team fight. It's also, like, you can fire it off towards somebody and it'll go off and it just won't do very much damage. But
I was going to say, it's part of the problem that as the sort of range specialist, there are other characters who function well from range as well, which makes playing as Widowmaker not that appealing a prospect.
Yeah, classically, she was always outclassed by McCree.
Yeah.
They nerfed McCree. Now Soldier 76 is basically good at the same sort of ranges, has better abilities, does more damage at short range, is way more useful there. So part of the problem is that she is not the extreme best case scenario at long to extreme long range.
Right.
She's good at extremely long ranges, better than other characters.
Yeah.
But not good enough to make up for her down points.
Fair enough.
The hook shot is great. Like, particularly the hook shot shots where you target like a lip of a building and you go flying over the building and you hit a shot in midair and you feel like God. That's great. But the rest of her kit doesn't really feed into that in any way. And also, like, her ultimate just isn't very good in a competitive setting.
Right.
It's designed for you to be able to go, there's a flanker coming around, I can shoot them around the corner. But if everyone is always together all of the time, A, you know where they are because you're good at the game and you know how the map works and your team is used to that sort of thing. And B, there's never anybody who's on their own for you to pick off, for your team to pick off. Basically, it turns out wall hacks aren't that useful in a game like this because you kind of know where everybody is all the time anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know where exactly they can fix this. I think replacing Widowmine, just completely ripping it out and changing it, would be one place to start.
I mean, they could address the one-shot issue fairly easily.
They could just ramp her damage up, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they could ramp her crit damage up. She did
Yeah.
used to be a little better than she is now because she used to be able to body shot people and kill them. They reduced her body shot damage but left her like headshot damage the same. And
they could ramp that up so that a headshot would kill any character on the map. That would sort of help that a bit.
And some of it does come down to like map design. She is actually good on certain maps. She sees a little bit of play on Hollywood because she can hit these really cool like hook shots where she'll like fire into the point where you capture the payload from the offensive side, and that is good. But usually like they'll do that 2 or 3 times. And then they'll stop doing it. It isn't a main part of their strategy for the map. It's just them trying to get like an early pick to take the point quickly. So yeah, I think it would be interesting to see if she could headshot or mostly headshot most of the cast, rather than only being able to headshot like I think it's roughly half at the current moment.
Right.
I would like to see that.
Cool. And then finally, Junkrat. And you're saying that a lot of this comes down to a lack of usage in competitive games. He's just not a popular pick, essentially.
Yeah, so he's barely picked at all. I was looking at the usage stats for the past month, just this morning to prepare for this video, and he saw a very, very tiny amount of play on like a single map, basically. And a lot of his gameplay kind of comes down to just spamming stuff. Now, I'm not like, if you're a Junkrat main, I'm not saying that the character has no skill to him, but he even when you're playing him right, a lot of it still comes down to just holding left click and like holding down areas and knowing where people are coming from.
Right.
And yeah, having good aim in the moments where you need to do it. But again, people are just better at holding down areas than he is. People are better at area damage. He isn't particularly good in like clutch one-on-one situations, and he's also not particularly good at putting damage out on an entire team unless he has his ultimate.
Right. Okay. So basically useless. But where would you start? Like with Widowmaker, replace the mine. What do you think the like easiest point of fixing is for this issue?
I think maybe they could do something to his main gun to make it more interesting in like how you fire it. So he's based, he's very clearly based on the Demo Man from TF2, and Demo Man was one of the most exciting classes in that game because hitting like air shots with his grenade launcher was really, really difficult. But like hitting direct shots did mad damage. I think it was one of the highest damage kind of shots, the single shots you could do in the game, other than headshotting someone with a sniper. With Junkrat, you can do that, but it doesn't feel as impactful. And I think maybe they could play with him, maybe make his grenades a bit slower, so it's harder to hit air shots, harder to hit people in general, but do more damage. And they could also implement the thing which they did to the Demo Man back in the beta of TF2, which was once his grenades hit the floor, a lot of their damage goes away. They still are there and they still eventually explode, but they don't do the same amount of damage in an area. So hitting direct shots, you do loads of damage. If you're not hitting on that skill level, you can still do damage in an area, you can still spam down a corridor or whatever, but you're not hitting exactly the same stuff. The thing is that his kit itself is quite cohesive. It all kind of works together. The traps are nice. They're not very good in competitive play because you can destroy them. But you can use the mine to move about the battlefield quite quickly. You can use the trap to set up being able to hit people. The ultimate is a good teamfight ultimate. It blows up and kills people. And they have, they've buffed him very slightly recently by making his explosions not damage himself, which means you can't kill yourself with your ultimate. You have more options in close range fights. It might be that he just needs his numbers tweaked. And that's not the point of what we're talking about here. No, but it's possible that would be a solution.
I feel like we've done like half a year of these, and I'm honestly not sure his name has come up once yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Which suggests there's an issue, whether it's like you say, a bigger issue or just like an issue of popularity. And some of that might come down to something more than like use. It might be just like character design or like people pick characters for a range of different reasons. But it does sound like this is clearly an issue because, as I say, we've got 26 episodes in, and I honestly think this is the first time his name.
He's definitely never been on the cover for
he's not. Yeah, exactly. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Overwatch This. We will be back next week, sort of. It's a very, very special episode next week, so be sure to tune in for that. I'm not really going to say too much, but it'll definitely be worth your time. Do leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know what you think of Ben's picks for character overhauls. Subscribe, hit the bell, give us a like, all of that good stuff, and we will catch you again very soon.